So the Malaysian budget 2025 will be releasing this month. I'm going to give you some of our thoughts. Maybe, tiny predictions on where we think the market might be heading. Some of the companies that will be most likely affected as a result. So
yeah, actually, when we release this video, I think budget 2025 will be announced tomorrow.
I see.
Yeah.
So either we'll look like geniuses or complete idiots. But we'll definitely give our response to the actual budget. But yeah, let's go. If you're interested in finding the next multi-bagger among small and hidden companies, then you need to check out our upcoming webinar happening on the 28th of October, 8:30 p.m. Links to sign up in the description or comments. So the first one is palm oil. So one of our largest exports. And what's up? Okay,
Yes.
I think the first one I want to comment is that there's going to be this windfall profit levy threshold might be raised, which is a sign that isn't that a bullish sign?
Yeah, definitely. Because all the time, these palm oil players, especially the East Malaysian one, they have been paying a lot of, not only just cost of production is increasing, but they also have to pay tax, this windfall profit tax. But this windfall profit tax has been around since 2009, if I believe. And that time, it was quite like a bull time for palm oil, but it stayed the same, at the same range for the past 15 years.
But I always thought, isn't a levy based on, so there's a threshold, meaning if you earn above this amount. See, I never quite understood these rules, because wouldn't you expect businesses to grow? Why would you put that threshold? Why don't you put a percentage or something like that?
Yep.
Right?
It could be also. I think it's some similar to during the the glove era, when they make like super normal profit. I forgot what's the ASP, but it was like around, was it 80? 80 ringgit, $80 per 1,000 pieces of glove. So this one I think is similar back then when palm oil was all about the hype in 2009, 2010, 2011. I think the CPO price was also quite at an elevated state. So they imposed this windfall tax to capture some of the super normal profits. But for glove, it's only just one time only.
There was a specific word already, something tax in Malay, I can't remember. Anyways, so yeah, I don't understand. I mean, yes, it's good they give subsidies, R&D funds to take away some of the costs from palm oil companies. Then just slap a higher tax rate or something, or like it could be if that year is a good year, and then you just increase the tax rate.
Yeah, exactly. So this one is something that they didn't like adjust when during the down years. So it's very sad lah. It's like those.
Yeah. So that's the other problem, correct? Because then when you drop, then too busy to find stock ideas. Check out FIRL Pro to shortcut your research time and effort by 90%. 10% off link in the comments and description.
The cost is still high. The cost is still high. So that's why they are raising this issue, which is going to be good in the upcoming budget. And this one is another thing that is quite interesting, that they are going to be allocating some subsidies and R&D for sustainable practices. I believe these subsidies will only benefit the smallholders, not so much on the big planters. But it's still interesting to highlight. So yeah, this is one of the analysts that projected basically the earnings will be improving any around from 2% to 5% earnings, assuming they increase the threshold from 3,000 to 3,500 ringgit to per ton to about 4,500 ringgit per ton. So yeah, but this definitely only benefit the upstream players, less on the downstream, because the upstream players are the one that is incurring this windfall tax profit divide. So you can see, before even the budget 2025 have announced, all these proposals actually drive up some of these plantation companies' share price. So you can see there is Sarawak Plantation, price. I only picked specifically the East Malaysia side, because East Malaysia, if you guys didn't know, the East Malaysian has actually, they pay about 32% in terms of tax rate.
Right.
So, and Peninsula player, they pay around only 26, 27%. Yeah, which is a huge difference if you are planters in Peninsula and East Malaysia.
Yeah, because margins are tight, right?
Yeah. And also your cost of production also is like very, very high. It's like 2,800 to 3,000 ringgit per metric ton. So yeah, it's actually it's going to be a huge relief for the upstream players in the East Malaysia if this actually goes through. So yeah, that's number one, the palm oil. Second one, it is a chicken egg subsidy. So this one, Mat Sabu did mention that this is like a low-hanging fruit in the food subsidy side. So assuming they remove it, they can save them about 100 million a month or about 1.2 billion a year. So yeah, this one is also quite a big thing because, I mean, it's just eggs. And right now, producers also have been producing quite a number of eggs at the moment, and it kind of like helped them to minimize their costs.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can see that after this subsidy removal, right, the Teo Seng, your CCK, and also Lei Hong share price start to like tumble down. But then it recovered back a little bit. Probably it's also because the market thinks that the government may float the egg price. So when they remove the subsidy, probably they will float it. But then there's just, I don't know what's the supply to demand, but from what I last checked, I think it was quite neck to neck, or maybe even supply is a little bit more than the demand side of things. But yeah, so far, if assuming they float, right, I think egg price wouldn't increase that much also, even though it's like that. Now, if you look at their profits, right, in 2023 for Teo Seng, it is actually quite a high margin. They earn about like a 20% net margin. Yeah, it was a super normal year for them. And not only that, also Lei Hong also is another one that they got like a 8% margin because of the subsidy, purely because of subsidy. So you need to remove these super normal times, and maybe you want to normalize it and see what is their profit going forward. But definitely they won't be making such a high profit, assuming the subsidy is not given to them anymore. So that's the second one. Now this is the third one. Increase sugar tax and remove subsidies. This is what the health ministry told. Well, this one actually, there's a lot of like, I have a lot of mixed reaction on this, or I have mixed feelings about this. It's like why they want to impose sugar tax and why not just float the sugar prices, right?
Yeah, so this is a company that we covered actually 1 year ago, I think, right? MSM. We covered it around the current price, but of course it went up. And then personally, we sold it somewhere in March, April, right? So anyways, the problem with the solution is actually quite simple for me. Number one is to float the price, as you say. And the second thing is to employ the similar kind of tax regime that Petronas has. So Petronas has this very unique regime called tax regime called PITA, right? The Petroleum Income Tax Act, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, the point is, because Petronas is pretty much a monopoly in a sense, and it can generate a big chunk of income, then the government can actually tax them higher at, let's say, 40%. Typical corporate tax is 25, 28, whatever it is today. But the big disadvantage that MSM has, that Petronas has, that they can export oil. Let's say we export oil, right? Petronas has, but MSM, the export market is not.
It's not as strong.
So I think all the more we need to float the price, and we did our own assessment. If we float the price, we'll go from 3 ringgit something per kilo to 5.50, 6 ringgit. So literally will double. And because for sugar, there's a fixed cost. I think that it can actually go close to 1 billion in terms of profits. So if you do the math, and if you tax, let's say 40% in terms of pre-tax profits, that's 400 million, and that's more than what the government is paying MSM in terms of subsidies. And now it doesn't have to be 1 billion, right? It just needs maybe 600 to match the subsidy payments. So instead of paying MSM subsidies, MSM pays the government more taxes, which the government can use as subsidies. So now they are using the subsidies from other taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
But if they do this, then they're taking from MSM to give it to, let's say, the B40, and things like that.
And definitely, it's a win-win-win for everybody, except for maybe consumer, because sugar lovers will be like, need to pay.
Well, it won't be a win for M40 and T20, but then again, what is the actual loss? 1 kilo is 2-3 ringgit. Let's say if it goes to 6. Do you use 1 kilo of sugar in your daily households per month? No, right? Let's say if it's once a quarter, that's an additional, let's call it 3 ringgit. That's 1 ringgit a month that you have to pay extra, right? Okay, maybe some shops will have to pay a bit more for sugar, but even then, right, it's still not going to be a big amount.
Sure.
If you're interested in finding the next multi-bagger among small and hidden companies, then you need to check out our upcoming webinar happening on the 28th of October, 8:30 p.m. Links to sign up in the description or comments.
So that's the consumer. And also another thing to consider is maybe players like Coca-Cola, whether they will still consider us as our sugar, because our sugar is so cheap. That's why they can actually they want to be here. But assuming if we follow the price,
but you see, if we do that, then we'll have more money. MSM will have more money to reinvest in, let's say, their Johor plant to improve. Like one of the big problems with Johor plant over the past few years actually is there's no proper upkeep. So there's a lot of issues, broiler issues that they have with boiler mac, things like that. But they paid more and they reinvested. Will have been solved.
So that is the third one, which is sugar. Next one over here, after we talk about sugar, obviously need to talk about unhealthy stuff already. And they're going to be taxing on some healthy food, like your sugary drinks. I think maybe some snacks also. But it's not listed over here. So far, it's very subjective, the term. But yeah, it's basically just unhealthy things. And basically, they warn that maybe these certain snacks or goods will have an inflammatory effect on these goods. Now, these are some of the companies that I can think of, Nestle, F&N, and also OFI. But then from some of the analysts, they did mention that Nestle and F&N got introduced some of these low sugar drinks or more healthier food. But at the end of the day, most of their products, I think, is still quite unhealthy. So most likely, they need to incur some sort of like additional tax on top of whatever they are paying right now. And you can see that the share price, obviously, for Nestle is got to do with the boycott movement. F&N also did drop a little bit, but then it kind of like went up and then it dropped again. OFI also is similar, also they kind of like dropped a little bit. So yeah, probably all of these next players might incur some sort of like additional expenses.
What they need is actually to do what Singapore does, which is to provide grading for their food. So if you go to like Singapore, for example, you know, even in a hotel, you order soft drink also, they give a grading. So for example, like Coke Zero is like grade A. Like high up, right?
Okay.
But Coke it's like C or D. Sprite.
Because of the sugar content and
all that. So I think it's better to do that rather than to employ a tax.
Like a blanket tax like that.
I don't think it works.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's another thing that you need to look out for.
Too busy to find stock ideas? Check out FIRL Pro to shortcut your research time and effort by 90%. 10% off link in the comments and description.
And next one, the All Talk, which is 2025 RON 95 subsidy changes. And this one, we have been awaiting it for quite a number of years already. And it won't really affect a lot of companies, maybe just some automobile companies like your Baotou, Hong Leong Industry, and also MBMR. But still, I mean, we still love our cars. So probably these news may not really impact that a lot, but definitely it may make consumers to think twice whether to buy more cars as compared to usual. So yeah, you can see some of the company share price actually tumble, like your Baotou. But for MPMR and the Hong Leong Industry, so far, this news is didn't really like trigger any sell-off for their companies. Next one, it is tourism. So they're going to be doing some tax exemption for tour operators. And this is actually coming from the Malaysian Tourism Federation. So obviously, all of these wants to boost, attract more tourists, foreigners to come and visit Malaysia. And you can see that some of the companies that is related to this, maybe it is Shangri-La, AAX, and also OWG. But you can see that only AAX is the one
that has nothing to do with this tourism thing.
Yes, correct. Yeah, it's actually just to do with PN17 lift off and then all those kind of things. But our hotel and our those entertainment service sector, they are not really rebounding at the moment because probably our ringgit is strengthening right now, so it's more costly to actually visit here. But hopefully they will do something about it to boost some tourism activity. Now, next one, it is excise duty for tobacco again. Previously, I don't know when it was the last time. I think it was like 10 years ago. They did increase the excise duty. So right now they want the.
But I see more people vape nowadays. So
yeah. But the thing is that they also got discussed whether they want to include vape or not.
Mm.
So it's not only just tobacco, your cigarettes, but also vape as well. So that's why there's a few companies that I showed over here, BAT, My News, and also CEB. But CEB, obviously, there's a management tussle or maybe the management margin call issue. That's why the share price is not moving up. But BAT, I mean, this company has been like down since.
It's a value investor's favorite.
Yeah, but it has been down for quite a lot of years already. But also it's because of these a lot of external risks as well, and also the government's risk. Now, why I put minings over here is because cigarettes is one of their top sellers in their CVS store. So that's why it could maybe affect some of their business. And this, there's an analyst that it covered. They say that this tobacco sales actually ranging around 7 to 35% of their sales. So, but then the margin is very small only. But still, it could mean like some sales loss for my news. So yeah, so that's a few sectors that we have covered, and here are some of the takeaways. Whether all of the prices, share prices that you see, whether has it been priced in or not. I would say 50-50 also, because not everything is just on an under proposal only. We haven't seen the real budget 2025. What are the items that is going to be listing out on Friday? So, well, for palm oil, definitely, I think there is some sort of like activities going on already, because it has been a dead industry for more than a decade. So right now, they are trying to like solve this problem. That's why there's some sort of interest. But for the rest, I think it is already kind of like expected already. So that's why the movement that whatever you see right now probably is just going to be there. It's either going to be muted or it's just maybe it's going to drop a little bit more. So yeah, I think pretty much I think its market is always forward looking, so probably it's priced in. Now there are some sectors that we didn't mention, which is the property, construction, and also Sarawak.
Sarawak will be big.
Yeah.
I think Sarawak really pushing for a lot of things, not just on the econs level, but politics as well. I think it, whether it's a boom or not, I'm not sure in the short run, but I think long term is good.
Yeah, so they are going to be consolidating a lot of things also. I think they're going to be consolidating their funds. Yeah, the Sovereign fund, all those fund and everything. I think they're going to be making like their own EPF or something like that, specifically just for Sarawak. But yeah, definitely a lot of activities going on over there. Construction, your airports, your education, your cement construction, all those stuff is like going on Sarawak. So probably it's going to be the next team. Now, last question is whether the market will rally post-budget. Well, this is some of the bear and bull case in the previous budget. You can see it's very, very, very 50-50. I mean, it's only like 3 out of 5 that actually shows signs of going up. And so you can see that this is pre-budget 25 is actually went out a little bit. And this also have to do with your Johor and data center also, which contributed to the bull run. So right now we need to see whether is there any more additional catalysts that we can that the market can absorb from this upcoming budget 2025. But what are your final takes?
Well, I think I just go back to what we've been repeating always. Do your research on companies, have a list of companies that you would be interested. You can make predictions based on the budget, but usually, unless you have got some deep insider information, you would have to wait for the budget to come out and then see how the prices move. And then if, let's say, there's a stock that you'll be looking at but the price is down, then there's your advantage to hop on to that stock.
Yeah,
so that's it.
Yeah, so that's about it for today's video. And before you guys go, make sure to check out our webinar.
Yep, happening on the 28th of October. Announcement as well. At the end of October, we will have a price hike for FIRL Pro because demand's good. So there'll be a $40 increase from today. Now, if you want to grab hold of the existing price, do get it before the end of October. Now, if you're first time, what in the world is FIRL Pro? It is a program designed to shortcut your research when it comes to finding high potential investments in the stock market. Number 2, what's inside? Educational write-ups on these companies, foreign and local. We are actually going to ramp up our foreign write-ups as we go. These reports will take you no more than 15 minutes to complete. It's jargon light. It's easy to digest, right? We like to say in one cup of coffee, you can complete one write-up. We also have references in terms of building your portfolio. So if you're new or if you feel like you need guidance on how you can build a portfolio, we have three. Well, actually, we have two, right? Catalyst is no more. So
haven't yet. Soon
will be no more, right? FIRL Pro and Boring. So Boring is more for dividend investing, and then FIRL Pro would be where we think our best ideas. Now if you want to get a taste of what's inside, just head over to the free sample link and you can download and get a taste. Now guys, thanks for staying all the way until the end, and we will see you in the next video.